Hi, Jenny. I'm Niveditha, and thank you for agreeing for this. This is the first time I'm interviewing people, and out of a whim and fancy, and I just asked you first.
Thank you so much for asking me. I'm really excited to be here. I love the access tools. They've changed my life and happy to talk about anything.
And I saw your website, and I've always followed you on Facebook, and I always found you fascinating. And I like Jeni Be. After being you changing the world, B has caught my attention quite a bit. Is that part of your name, or is that what you included as B?
It's what I've always been called since a child. So as a child, I was called Jeni Be because I buzzed around all over the place. I never sat still. I was never diagnosed with ADHD or autistic in any way, but that was how I functioned. That's my world. And I struggled throughout my life with a whole load of energy in my body, and I didn't know how to work with it. So the B comes from Jeni Be. It's also my second name is Barber. So I get called Jeni Be or Jeni Be Barber. So that's my real name.
But I like the Jenny B.
I like it too.
And you're an X-Men.
Yeah, I'm an X-Men facilitator, an access consciousness facilitator. And really what access has given me is a way to explore me without judgment, without wrongness, and with that embracing all the tools that access can give us with working with ourselves and our way of being. What that's unfolded for me is a different way to be in my life every day. So what does that mean? It's all words, yeah?
Yeah.
In a way, it's like I struggled all my life with information, being aware of other things that I didn't know was possible to be aware of. We're never taught in this reality, in the way that we are as children, to really be aware of the world around us, to understand that we can be aware of anything more than outside our bodies. We can hear thoughts, we can hear information and perceive that in a different way. And the X-Men tools allowed me to function that way, where I began to embrace more of how I was in the world and how I am in the world. And the same for all the specialties. So Right Voice for You is another specialty that actually works with looking at what your voice is in the world. Right Body for You allows you to connect with your body in a different way that you've never allowed yourself to be. Business Done Different, or the Joy of Business, and Business Done Different classes are amazing at looking at what business acumen you have that you've never acknowledged before. And all of these tools in all of those classes are actually acknowledging what is your reality with this relationship, with this business, with this body of yours, with your information that you're aware of psychically. What is it you're aware of, and what is your reality? So the access tools take off all of the layers of decisions, judgments, conclusions, and ways that you've made your life fit every day.
Yes.
And when you take off all of those limitations, then it begins to you begin to function differently, and you can allow yourself to embrace more of the things that you may have pushed away. And for me, it was like getting clear on the energy that I always had suppressed was something I could use in my world, and use it in a way where it flows through my business. That was one thing. The second thing for me was getting really clear on what business is for me. I remember Simone Millis saying to me, you know, what is business to you? And all I got was this big blank.
Yeah.
And I went, I don't know, it's blank.
Yeah.
And she said, well, is it blank or is it something else? And I went, it's something else. And she says, well, what is that information? Only you know. How much information do you have about business that you may never have acknowledged before?
How do you acknowledge that?
Well, you start by looking at what is it that I'm aware of here. You ask questions. Questions unlock a lot of information, because we're taught from very young children to go into what's right, perfect, good and correct, or what's wrong. And then we react against that all the time. We have to be right so we're not wrong. or we have to defend who we are so we fit into that reality. So as soon as you start to acknowledge that there is no wrong or right, there's actually just your way, then it opens up a whole load of information. And then it's like, okay, so when I started Access 7 years ago, I didn't have a business site. I didn't know how to set up a website. I didn't know how to work a Zoom. I didn't know how to call in on instant teleseminar. I didn't have any of that information. And Access showed me how to begin to follow through all of that. And within 6 months, I'd set up my own website. I'd set up my own PayPal. I completed all of that very, very easily. And so easily, I thought, I must have done it wrong. So there was that right and that wrong, you know, because it was actually a lot easier than I thought it was. And since then, I've grown and asked more questions. So I follow what I really enjoy in life, what brings me joy and fun and pulls me in to ask questions. Then there's something there for me that I can embrace more of. And business was a big thing. I'd bought my father's reality of business, that it had to be done his way and only his way.
Yeah.
And everything else was wrong. And beginning to see that, okay, so what would I do differently? And in what way would I be successful with my business? And in what way can I put me through all of this? Then what would open up then? And so it changed my world. So Business Done Different changed my world. And the X-Men tools, as well as Foundation. Foundation is amazing, and it keeps changing and growing. And
Yes.
I facilitate that, and that's just an amazing class.
I see that you facilitate online Foundation. Right now it's online, but otherwise Foundation is an in-person class.
Yes, yeah.
An X-Men class and Business Magic.
Business Magic, yep. We can do the certified facilitators business classes, and there are full-on 2.5-day classes, or maybe it's 3-day classes, is Business Done Different, that can be facilitated by any Joy Business facilitator, and you can get that information on joybusiness.com.
This is one thing I've tried to find out. I vaguely remember that you had posted, if anybody is looking for business help, is it you or someone else? I'm not sure. That if there's anybody setting up business to contact, was that you?
No, that wasn't me.
Okay. I have a few questions. What does creation and actualization at the speed of space look like?
What does it look like? Is it my interpretation of it, or is it your own way of actually asking questions to receive that energy? Can that energy ever be defined in words?
No. But I struggle with that question.
Well, is it a question, or is it actually part of a conclusion? If you say it again. Say it again. Do you want to say it again, please?
What does creation and actualization at the speed of space looks like?
So are you looking for an answer on how something looks? Can energy ever look like something? Or is energy so whisper fine and light and spacey that it's got no definition? So what would it take to receive creation and be the creation? And what way does that show up? Is it an expansive speed of space or something else? So we're opening up the question into more a way of being with that energy that allows the energy to penetrate you and be you with everything that you create, generate, and institute with your world, your daily life, and your business.
Okay. How do you, I've always found it like a start-stop kind of a thing when the energy of congruence, let's say when we ask for something, sometimes when we ask, then sometimes the opposite of it happens or something else happens, and it just feels like I lost touch with that. So if somebody were to ask, okay, what would it take to create something X? And then to a certain extent, you're able to follow the energy, but beyond that, it just feels like it goes away, or it's not understood, or there's no congruence. And how does one stay with following the energy?
Well, the first thing is to get out the points of view or judgment of how it should show up for you. So if there's no congruence, is that really true? And then destroy and create all the points of view of having no congruence. Then when you actually ask for something, for it to show up, you have to have no points of view of how it's going to show up. You're asking that it shows up in your life. Now that could occur tomorrow, next month, year, 10 years down the line. So asking really open questions like, what would it take for more joy and fun to show up in my life? Then unless you're willing to receive the joy and the fun, you'll never know if you're being it or not. You have to have no point of view of how it's going to show up.
Yeah.
Because in truth, joy and fun could be pleasurable activity like eating an ice cream, and that could be joy and fun for you and your body.
And it is so much ease.
Go on.
And it is so much ease. And it goes on and on. It just feels like, oh, it's going to end someday, you know. That's a point of view again, right?
That's a point of view again. It's like saying there's no money, but there's always money. You just have to create and generate it into your world. There's Gary Douglas talks about money and joy and fun is like energy, space, and consciousness. Like how much of those building blocks, energy, space, and consciousness, are we inviting into our worlds to create and generate our lives? Because our lives are ongoing creations. They're not like something, well, I'm going to go here and do this, and therefore this is actualized in my world. That's it. Where do I go next? It's an ever expanding flow and movement of energy that never ever stops. Universal energies completely flow through everything that we are and be, but we have to acknowledge what we are creating with them. And when we acknowledge what we have created, like, so me talking about the last 7 years and being on this call with you is a great way for me to acknowledge, wow, I would never have acknowledged my business in the same way unless you'd asked me that question. So questions are key to acknowledgement. And when you acknowledge something, then it's part of your every being. And then you can move forward. And Dane's book, Being You Change the World, is awesome. I mean, I'm a Being You Facilitator. And that book is just like my Bible in a way, because it actually shows you how to create, generate, and institute your life through question, choice, possibility, and how you can contribute. And these are words for a lot of people. The contribution is the contribution to yourself. Like, how much do you actually have your own back? And how much are you willing to give yourself support through everything? Or do you make yourself right and wrong all the time? And if you are, then that's judgment.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautifully said.
Thank you. But it's true. It's like, if we acknowledge ourselves and really acknowledge that you asking to create me, but something for you, and that's the contribution. You've contributed to me, I'm willing to contribute to you. Now who else can receive this from our discussion? And there's no end to that. It's an ever-flowing, expanding energy that continues to contribute if you allow it to receive it. There's one other piece you said. It's like, when you ask for something to show up, if you're asking for all your capacities and abilities of your psychic ability to show up and your awareness with that, then when it comes into your world, unless you acknowledge that you are more psychic and you can use this to your advantage, then you don't become it. So the receiving element and the being element is very close knitted. And part of that is the acknowledgement of you. And then you can use it to create your life after that. And that's where it becomes strange, because it's not, you can't find it because you're being it and you're looking for it. Where is that magic? And it's like, you be the magic.
Yeah.
It's not out there, it's you being it.
I think I've come across the sentence that be the change you want to be, you see in the world. I never really understood it in that sense until it hit upon me a couple of days back, that being change, you know.
Yeah.
I was always looking at change as trying to be something, you know, it's like as a change. And suddenly it just bulbed out, like, it's being that change. What is being change? You know, I was asking the question, what is that being change is, and how is contribution is? How can I contribute to the work that you're doing, Jay?
Well, I think this is contribution. So first of all, can you acknowledge that you are a contribution just by asking, do you want to do a Zoom with me?
Yes.
Thank you. Because I'd love it. It's fun. It's spontaneous, and we are creating. So first of all, is you are already contributing to me by asking to do this, because it's allowing me to really add to my life. Your interaction with me is a contribution. So I'm really grateful for that.
Thank
And
you.
then like asking to be, what else can you create with this? You know, what is it that you like about this? What drove you to choose to ask me, and who else can you add in there, and what way can it demand a change in your business? Because you can demand of yourself, you can't demand of the universe, but you can demand yourself to be something, and then the universe can contribute to you by your tenacity of consciousness with that.
I am so
So,
yearning to be a contribution. And sometimes, like when you said in the beginning, right, when Simone asked you, what is business to you? Or uh, the blank that you were talking about, I experienced the blank, and I think I've been experiencing it for the last many months. And I'm like, okay, what else? What else? What else? And this just popped up like out of the blue. Like it just felt like one small trickle of light, like, I found it. And
yeah,
then what else now? So thank you.
exactly. Because it's like, what way can you add this to your life, and what way can this actually be a springboard to other possibilities? Because this isn't the end. It's like, what are you going to do with this video? What way can you add to it? You know, what would it take for you to have a website full of videos that people can actually tap into and get information from and listen to?
Yeah.
Put it on YouTube, whatever. I'm happy with that. It's all
Yeah.
about you building your interaction with the world. And I love this because it's very true. It's exactly who you are. It's who I am in this 10 seconds.
This has been like an inspiration. Like I keep watching The Chef's Table on Netflix, and how people go delve into lives of other people and their journey, and how it actually changes you, the viewer, into
Yeah.
being the creation, watching the creation of people.
Well,
I feel like I'm an artist. I paint. I am very at ease with painting, and if you can see the wall behind, that's my son. So I'm it's like not normal, but I just try to explore a lot. So for me, it's really very important that something comes out of like a beautiful creation, and that it can inspire another person and another person. Like Access says, one head at a time, right? So
yeah, exactly. And for me, it's the journey that's the exploration, because you said like so much information can bring around a blank. Well, if you had a blank with a painting, what would you choose?
each time it's a different creation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you go to paint and it's blank, you're like that, okay, so you can
What
choose to
else?
walk away, or you can choose to come back a different time, or you can ask a question, you know, what color do I paint here just now? And you start. And then
Yeah.
what evolves is the ever-ending path of your journey with that energy.
Thank you
And
for
that
that
is
contribution.
and that is exactly what life is. Life is choosing and flowing with it regardless of what shows up. You know, and it's like, to me, it's never, there's never an end, there's never a wrongness. There's like, okay, this is really difficult just now, what can I choose next that will create more ease, is a really good question when you come to that block. And like, how many paths have we started that are all beginning paths to different journeys that haven't come to fruition, that if we choose a different path, we'll go beyond that path totally and utterly.
That
So
is
it's
so
to keep
beautiful.
choosing and flowing and being with the energy, which is what you do when you paint or when you draw or when you're being that artist. You are creating. So what if this video is like part of that creation? Then what else gets added in to build a bigger picture that we can all receive from? So I'm really grateful to be part of this too. So
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Jenny. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. See you
Bye.
in the world. Meet you someday in person.
Yeah.
That would be
Take care.
exciting.
Let me just give you, like, for anyone who wanted to look at my website, which is self-made, you can go to www.jenibe, exactly as my name there, .com. And then there's a whole lot of free resources and information that you can get on X-Men and Being You.
And it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful website. And the first landing YouTube video that is there, it's beautiful. It just fracks.
Yeah.
The class kind of a thing that you did and it's posted on your website, that's a beautiful one. I just like sat in and like, I went, I just popped out a lot of stuff. I'm going to put that on loop.
Thank you. That's great to know. Yep, keep receiving.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Bye,
Thank
darling.
You. Bye.